Welcome to HackerRank Challenge number 14. This one's called sWAP case, and it's pretty straightforward. We're given a string such as this one, and we're meant to swap the case of each character. So here you can see a capital W, we turn that into a lowercase w, we turn into an uppercase W, and so on. We're provided with a little bit of code here. So there's the string that's going to be provided by the input, and then we're meant to implement our operation as a function. So this is where we'll be editing the code, and then that will be applied to the input and printed out. So here we really get to decide ourselves how difficult we want to make our life. One way to make it very easy is we can just use the built-in swap case method that Python has. So Python has a method that does exactly this. So you would take your string, in this case s, and you would apply the method swap case. Run that, and you'll see that this actually achieves exactly what we're trying to do. You can run it for all the test cases, and you'll see that passes all of them. Now, since we're trying to build some problem-solving capabilities, maybe we want to look at some other solutions, but this definitely works. Now, in theory, we could solve this problem without any built-in methods, but that may be a little bit too much work. So we would have to do something like having a list with all of our characters that are lowercase, and then we would have the same list with all the uppercase equivalents. And then we could do something like check whether a character is in the first list and then replace it with the character in the second list and the other way around. But to be honest, that's a little bit too much work. And I actually think that this is a good opportunity to learn a little bit about the string methods. So let's have a look what string methods there are and if there's some that we can use to, still turn this into a challenging problem, but also solve it in a relatively straightforward way that doesn't take too many lines of code. So what you can do is go to the documentation of Python, and you can find string methods here. So these are all the operations that you can apply to strings that are built into Python. I'll post the link in the description. So here's an example. You can have your string and you can call the method capitalize, and what that will do is it will take the first character of your string and capitalize it and leave the rest lowercase. Now here we can also find our swap case method that we used earlier to solve the problem, but that was a little bit too easy. So let's see if we can find maybe some methods that check whether a character is upper or lowercase, and then methods that turn a character into an uppercase or a lowercase character, and then we can build some logic around it and solve the problem like that. So let's see if there's a method that checks whether a character is lower. Indeed, it does. So this is actually for bytes. This is the one that works on strings. So it's called isLower. It will return true if all the case characters in that string are lowercase. So that's what we'll use. There's the same for isUpper to check whether a character is uppercase. And then we also have the lower method to turn any character into a lowercase character, and the upper method to turn any character into an uppercase character. So now we can build a little bit of logic around that and solve our problem this way. Okay, so let's get rid of all of this stuff, and then we'll think about how we're going to approach this problem. So what we'll do is we'll look at each character that's coming in individually. So here they're in a string, but we can loop over the characters in a string just like we've looped over, let's say, the elements of a list in the past. So in a for loop, we can go for C, where C is for character, but you can call this variable whatever you like as usual. In S, where S is our string, we can now do operations on each of those individual characters. So for example, let's just print them out to see that this works. So if we're printing C, then you see that we have our input here, and in the loop, we're accessing each of the characters individually. Now what we can do is we can put all of those back together like so. So we can start by having an empty string. So that will be our result. And we just declare this as an empty string. And then we can just add the characters that we're looping over to this string. So result equals result plus C. And if we then return result, then we should basically get our string back. So we'll have gone through it character by character and then put it back together. So let's see if that works. Yep, great. That's our output here. So now all that we need to do is look at each of these individual characters and then build some logic to swap the case. Okay, now let's build our logic with the methods that we just looked at. The first thing that we will do is see if a character is lowercase. So if C is lower, then the statement will be true. And in that case, we want to turn it into an uppercase character. Now, if that does not get triggered, we want to check if the character is a uppercase character. So if C is upper, then we want to turn it into a lowercase character. Just like so. And this should swap the cases around. So let's see if that works. Yep, that's fine. We can submit our code, passes all the test cases. Perfect. Okay, one thing that is very important is that we're using an elif statement here so that this condition is only checked if the first condition is not true. If we had just another if statement here, then any lowercase characters would first be turned into uppercase characters and then would trigger this statement and be turned into lowercase characters again. Another note, maybe we could probably also just put an else statement here, because if a character is not lower, it is upper. So let's see if that will work. Yeah, looks like it does. The one thing here is that there are characters that are neither upper or lower, so they're not cased, such as a period here. Now, those are thankfully handled for us in these functions in a way where they are just not affected. So they'll just get passed straight through. And this is why that works. But yeah, for now, I think we can be very happy with our solution and move on to the next one. See you there.